I have a feeling you and I are going to disagree on this one. This is the Chargers and the Jags. I'm going to throw out my 2 cents first. The Chargers have been incredibly disappointing to me this year. I think they have underachieved. That can go two ways. Either they can just continue their floundering and their mediocrity, or they can get their shit together and they can surge and they can find themselves in the AFC Championship. But as of right now, from what they've shown, and I know you're going to disagree with me. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to say. All right. But for what I've seen with the Chargers, I just don't have a good feeling about them. But I told you 8 weeks ago that the Jags were getting their shit together, and they have done nothing but step up and step up. And it on paper, it looks like they barely squeeze in here in a shitty division, and that is true. But I do believe that this is a match made in heaven. That the Jags are here to stay. That they have put this together, and I think this week will be another big step in building this franchise.
Yeah, that's not completely crazy. You know what I mean? Over the last few weeks, we've talked about the Chargers and how they've gotten healthy at the right time. And it was a bold decision. You know, by the time the Chargers played their game, the Ravens had already lost, and they were locked into 6th seed, which meant the Chargers were locked into the 5 seed. So it was interesting that they played their starters. But I think it was important for me to see them play their starters against Denver, because Denver's been trash all year. Now, look, they've looked completely different without Nathaniel Hackett, and that's a different conversation that we'll have at some point, probably next week. But the Chargers starters were getting ran on by Denver. And going into the playoffs, just like we had talked about in the Cowboys video, like going into the playoffs, that's not what you want. You know, as Brandon State, when you're the coach, and you know, I talked about it last week. If I'm a coach going into Week 18, like I'm trying to play my starters as much as I can in the game. But then you get a guy hurt, like playing them too long is a problem too. And you know, if you're already down in the game in Week 18, you have a spot locked up, you should have taken your guys out sooner, Brandon. Like, I'm sorry, you should have taken them out sooner. Now Mike Williams is uncertain for the game they're talking about. You know, he's likely to play. But with Mike Williams' history, I'm not going to put it past the fact that he might not play in this game. And that's a big deal, especially when you're talking about the Jaguars have already beaten this Chargers team this year. 38-10, I believe, was the score in that game. And so it's not like it was a close game. The Chargers got dog walked. So it's just, I'm not ultra confident in the Chargers. So with that said, I too will be picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to come in and win this game.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome aboard. You pushed back on me a couple of weeks ago. The Jags had a big win, and I said this is the first step of this franchise, their confidence, and then they shit on the field the next week, and you were like, and you called me out on it. But I know I'm teasing you a little bit, because I know we agree now that Peterson and Lawrence really have this organization headed in the right direction, and you know, we won't beat that to death. But so we're both taking the Jags.
Yeah. Like you said, like a couple of weeks ago, they were still the team that was up and down every week, up and down, up and down. And their record shows that they were up and down every week. But here toward the end of the season, they really started to click. And, you know, we've talked about, you know, Trevor Lawrence was always destined to be great. You know what I mean? And he's really been showing that off over the last quarter of the season. I think they ride that momentum here into the playoffs.
Agreed.
And I would love to know what you think about this game, what you think is going to happen, who you think is going to win. You let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video.